management of the social networking app WhatsApp is raising the minimum user age from 13 to 16, potentially locking out large numbers of teenagers as the messaging app looks to comply with the European Union's new data protection rules. Now, WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook, is one of the many social networking companies responding to the new EU rules aimed at checking abuse of children and dissemination of inappropriate materials to and from children. Now, the restrictions will only affect users in Europe or in the European Union, but it is a matter that should be a concern to African countries. Maybe we hit the streets to speak to young people and adults. Here's what they think.
I am of the opinion that we are in a global world today, and then since we're in a global world today, everything is about communication. I mean, irrespective of your age, we can communicate with each other. So introducing WhatsApp and reducing the age limit to 16, I am of the view that shouldn't be introduced in the country.
Due to the content on WhatsApp, things that are sent or put out there, they feel it's not so good for them to see at that age. Then I think it's a good idea. If it's brought here, that means it will change to 18, because at that time you still be in secondary school. I don't think you really need the phone for anything.
It should be introduced in Africa, but the reason is that probably in EU they can track if you are really 16 years. But here in Africa, remember when we are setting up emails when we are kids, they will tell us that if you are not up to a certain age, you don't set up an email, but then we still maneuver to find our ways to get an email. Probably we would have to change our year of birth and all that. So I believe that since if it can help, only when there are structures in place to help curb it or to help track it.
Well, I believe that we are in a technological world, and I advocate very much for our students, or let's say young ones, being exposed to technology, but putting some sort of a check on that wouldn't help, and it would help in a way that they use these platforms to share. Some use them to share important information.
They are trying to limit or trying to filter a way to filter unauthorized information. But the question is, how are they going to track whether those who are registering are below 16? In Africa, I believe WhatsApp has provided a platform for most of the youth to be exposed to these technological devices as well.
Well, let's get some expert view on this. And Nteki Akwete Falconer is an expert in data protection. Indeed, the first executive director at the Data Protection Commission here in Ghana. She joins us live from Nigeria. Good afternoon to you, madam. Many thanks for your time on the polls.
Good afternoon.
So WhatsApp is global and are taking this decision in Europe in response to the new EU rules. What's your initial thoughts on this?
Well, I believe, of course, they are taking, like you recognize, they're taking this particular reaction in relation to Article 8 of the GDPR, which essentially states that in relation to offer of information society services directly to a child, the processing of the personal data of the child shall be lawful where the child is at least 16 years old, or where the child is below the age of 16 years, the law requires that responsibility or consent is given by an authorized holder of parental responsibility over that child. Now, having said that, looking at the way WhatsApp currently operates, where information on the age or any other thing from their users, apart from the number of the users, I am a bit maybe, let's say, I'm interested to find out how WhatsApp would actually be implementing this and also limiting it to Europe. The issue about data protection and child protection has always been a critical issue from time immemorial. Under the previous laws, and which is also similar to what we have in Europe, child data is actually looked at as sensitive personal data and always given slightly more restricted ways to access, collect, and use child information. Under our own data protection laws, for instance, under Section 37, 1A, if I'm not mistaken, the law designates any information on a child as information, as sensitive information that must only be collected, held, and used with the express consent. In this case, the consent will also come from the an adult or a guardian of that child. So that notion has always existed. The interesting thing about this news item, which I have also seen, and I haven't seen any confirmation, official confirmation yet from Facebook or any contact within WhatsApp. The interesting thing is that it's a news item, and what I would say is that we should investigate it further. Interestingly, in Nigeria here, I'm in a meeting with some people on Facebook, and they also seem to be at a loss on where this news item is coming from. But it may be true, and it may be a reaction to dealing with the European requirement for consent as far as children below 16 are concerned. It's more of a wait-and-see approach because the GDPR itself, looking at how vast the law is, a lot of us in the data protection space are also waiting to see how the regulators are going to approach implementation. But I can see some challenges as far as WhatsApp is concerned because I don't traditionally know them to collect that information. And if that is the case, are they going to collect more information? And that will even put them in a greater risk loop.
But considering that the application is widely available in Ghana and the reasons for which the EU came up with the rules also prevails in Ghana, what is your response to people who feel that Ghana should be towing this path?
We already, if they do it, I mean, they've done it before. You would remember that after WhatsApp started working, but I believe they extended it to most countries. The UK and a few other European regulators, looked at the linking of Facebook information with WhatsApp information and targeting of advertisements and the like, and raised a number of concerns. Indeed, they eventually even made an undertaking to the UK commissioner on ensuring that does not happen because that would violate data protection laws in Europe. So, of course, if a regulator comes to you and they're asking something to be done, usually the first objective is to look at complying with the locality of those laws. Like I'm saying, I think that our laws also, by some stretch, especially if you see that there's a strict requirement for consent in terms of collecting and dealing with information relating to children under Section 37, there can be some kind of stretch, and it is likely that a regulator may say that, look, we want this also applies to Ghanaians because maybe our actual age of consent is also 16 years. So if you're dealing with anybody below the age of 16 years, then you should go ahead and then get the necessary consent. Like I'm saying, we are all observant to see how this will actually be implemented, especially as far as WhatsApp is concerned. If you're talking about Facebook and the like, yes, you provide some set of information, including age when you're setting up. But That doesn't happen with WhatsApp. And sometimes parents, parents give children their phones and numbers. And these numbers are registered, in the names of the parents and not necessarily the children. So it can be a challenge in terms of restricting access and all of that. And are you then going to say that in that case, if a parent gives the phone to the child, there is, express consent for the child to solicit for WhatsApp, or how are you going to infer that consent under the GDPR? So that is something that...
that may be the difficulty in this whole thing.
Be a challenge.
Well, we'll be monitoring and see how this whole thing pans out. But we're very much appreciative of your time. We're extremely grateful. Teki Akwete Falconer is with the Commission, Data Protection Commission. We're extremely grateful for your time. I'm told she's actually the former and the first ever. Let's get on to Facebook and check some messages coming up. We posted this on Twitter, and we said that starting next month, WhatsApp will require users to confirm they are old enough to use the app. They are raising the minimum user age from 13 to 16 in Europe to protect children against inappropriate content. Should the same rules apply in Ghana? And we had a lot of comments there. 88% said yes, and only 12% said no on Twitter. Okay, so let's check out the messages now. And Sir Ernest says, I even suggest they use ID cards and birth certificates. Sir Alan Prempe Pepra Bafo comes in to say that, oh yes. And Bernard Bachman says we should lay out our own user data protection measures to protect our online data. It's about time we set up to ensure safer internet use in our country. Those are some very interesting comments there on Twitter. But of course, significantly, 80% of the people said yes, whilst just 12% of them said no. Okay, and also on Facebook, we posted the same thing on Facebook. Starting next month, WhatsApp will require users to confirm they are old enough to use the app. They are raising the minimum user age from 13 to 16 in Europe to protect children against inappropriate content. Should the same rules apply in Ghana? That's the comment we posted on Facebook too. And on Facebook, you have 90% saying yes and 10% saying no. So it goes to show how passionate people are about this topic. Let's read out some of the comments from the 90% that said yes and then the 10% that said no. Okay. All right, so we'll try and pull out the comments and then read them to you later. But significantly, you have a significant number, 90% saying yes on Facebook and 10% saying no. So it means that all of us are concerned about the abuse of social media by minors. So we're looking at how it pans out, because you heard from Akwete Falconer, who says that we'll be looking, she senses some challenges with WhatsApp, because how are they going to implement this? How are they going to monitor how people use their phones? We'll be monitoring and see how it goes in Europe, and probably if we would want to implement it in Ghana too.